Hello everyone and welcome to my Nexus-King Heroic Guide. It's a 3-phase fight with 2 intermissions, although one of the intermissions is just do as much damage as you can. Essentially it's like the start of Denathrius, then moving into a bit of Razagath, then maybe a bit of Nexus Princess and Razagath for the last stage. It's a fun fight. I don't have full footage, so I'll do a bit of raid planning and use some normal footage as well. But you'll get the idea of the entire fight and how it's meant to be played out. Okay, so yeah, I'll get into it, do it phase by phase, and we'll go from there. Okay, so the first thing to get into on this fight is you're going to start with 3 stacks of Oathbound. If you do not get this to 0 by the end of this phase or push him early, then essentially what's going to happen is you're going to become mind controlled. So the way that you get rid of Oathbound is by stacking with your tank and taking the Conqueror ability. Essentially, this will get rid of 1 stack every single time you take the Conqueror ability. On testing, you could stack and just get rid of this in the first 3 hits. I do not think that you'll be able to do that when it comes to live. I think you'll have to split yourselves into 2 groups to be able to do that. But yeah, just on testing, that's what we could do because the damage wasn't that big. But essentially, yeah, the main mechanic in P1 is to get your Conqueror stacks to 0 by, your Oathbound stacks to 0 by absorbing the Conqueror ability, okay? So the way that you do this will be by, as said, absorbing the Conqueror ability. So you have this tank combo where you have this, which is the Vanquish. You do not want to soak this. Your tank should only just take 1 of these as well, and then you should taunt during the cast, not after the cast. When you taunt after the cast, you take 2. So I survive 2, that's fine. I then take the Conqueror ability, which is this circle. Everybody gets within the circle. And it goes off and everybody's Conqueror stacks will drop by 1 when they get hit by this. The next time you take this, you will take 100% increased damage. So we could heal through this. But as said, what's probably going to have to happen is you split your group into 2. You take 1 Conqueror stack. The tank taunts off during the cast. They then deal with either the Vanquish or the Conqueror, and you put it on your other group. So you remove 1 stack per tank rotation, which means you need 3 tank rotations essentially to remove this. And that's fine. I think that with the tuning when it's live, that'll be what happens anyway. So yeah, you can see here, it's now the other tank that's taking 2. And I don't bother to get in because I assume it's going to go to the 3rd one. I've still got 1 stack, but I'll be able to remove that next time. But everybody else has removed their stacks. But yeah, so Vanquish, the big triangle, don't get in. Conqueror, the circle, you do get in. And tank, you probably taunt during the cast, a bit like Rashok, to make sure you get the next ability. If you taunt afterwards, it might trigger on the other tank, and then you can't do anything. So there's just a couple of other abilities going on in this phase. Other than the main mechanic of getting your stacks, you can see that this ability going off now is called Behead. You just get them out, and essentially the claws will remain on the ground. So you want to get them out as far as you can. Do not walk into the ghosts of the dragons. If you walk into the ghosts of the dragons, they will knock you back in, and you'll take a load of damage from them. So don't do that either. And then also you'll have these things coming down from the sky that's called Besiege that essentially can make the soak a little bit annoying, because if it's going straight through where the soak is, you don't really want to move. But just don't get hit by these and you should be fine. They don't kill you, but they do a lot of damage. So that's the general basics for P1. Essentially, once you've gone through the 3 rotations, it will phase into phase 2, or I believe if you get to 50%, it'll also phase into the next phase. But yeah, it's get your stacks to 0, move out with crap. So phase 2 is a bit unique, where it essentially happens for 30 seconds, 40 seconds. Then you go into an intermission, and then you come back and you do phase 2 again. So you can see here he's summoning the dragon, so stay out of that big void portal. It'll do a lot of damage to you if you're hit by it. And then you deal with the start of P2. So you put these big circles around, and this is going to be where there's some dimensional tears where the dragon's frontal breath will come out of these, where you've dropped these zones as well, essentially. And then you still have the behead going on that you had in phase 1, okay? So what's going to happen here is our tank is going to take this frontal beam. This is the Razagath frontal beam. You can see all the other beams go off at the same time. And if you do not mitigate this frontal beam, you kill everyone in the raid. So yeah, we did not mitigate the frontal beam very well. And essentially, because they took a load of damage from it, it killed everybody else. You'll get another set of these sort of dragon spawns or dimensional rifts where the breath will come out of again. and then you'll move into the intermission basically now. So yeah, let me just show you that and go through the abilities a bit more. Okay, so this first ability that you're going to get as you go into P2 is going to be the sort of coalescing void, where he's summoning the Drake. So you get out of the middle there, you don't want to get hit by it. You also don't stand right on the edge because you don't want to get knocked off the edge. And the Drake comes up, okay? And then you're going to get the Mace throw. So he's going to throw 4 maces at people, and this is going to also be where the sort of dimensional rifts will spawn where the extra breaths come in, okay? So yeah, you can see it's dimensional breath basically. So any unmitigated damage taken by the tank will, after the dot drops off, do that to the rest of the raid. So as it comes in, you also get the copies doing it. They should show the direction they're going in, so it should be fine to dodge. And if you don't mitigate it, it's going to blow you up like you can see there. So essentially make sure that you mitigate the damage coming in from the breath, and you should be absolutely fine. You'll get another 4, and you just deal with it in the same way, and then you'll go into the intermission. One thing to note is that you have 2 tank swap abilities. So you have the breath that comes in that will be increased X amount of damage, and then you have the sort of more that the boss does that will be just a big hit on the tank that basically they'll take increased damage from that the next time. So you'll need to just make sure you're swapping those 2 over and dealing with them appropriately. Just to be 100% clear, you get the Cosmic Maw. That person takes 100% increased damage from the breath. The other tank has to then taunt off. You probably want to swap it around the other time, so you've got the CDs up, okay? But yeah, it's Cosmic Maw, other tank taunts off, takes a dimensional. Okay, so just coming into the intermission, that's halfway through P2, you'll just see us dealing with the breaths again, so you can see the lines, they're pretty forgiving, but just try and get yourself in a clear spot. Essentially, what's going to happen here is you're going to split your raid into 2, okay? We've got the 2 sides marked. You're going to have just half split, 1 tank, 2 healers, DPS split, okay? Over you go, and you're going to have some ads on your platform. All of these ads do some different things, but essentially it's going to be group them up, nuke them down. You've got 2 interruptible ones, and then you've got 1 ad that you should really cleave off of. So I'll go through that for you now. Okay, so you'll see they all spawn. There's a cast happening in front, and this big boy at the back is the one that you want to kill. If he reaches full energy, he will basically explode and do a shitload of damage to your raid. So big boy at the back is the one that you want to cleave off of, okay? Next, you'll have 1 of these per side, so it's not 2 on one side, and it's just a cast that you can just interrupt, okay? So make sure you're interrupting that. You might have an interrupt rotation. It seems like it does a fair amount of damage. And then you'll just want to sort of spread out the raid as the last one just does some sort of damage to your raid intermittently. I don't know if it's splash damage. If it is, you just spread a little bit. If it isn't, you can stack up. It's as simple as that. Okay, so you then get to the start of the second intermission after you've redone P2 again. And it's the Salhadaar's hunger, so King's hunger. So he starts draining the dragon while you're sort of doing a Rashok / Nexus Queen phase. You basically get a damage amp on the dragon, and you want to nuke it as much as you can. Any damage that you don't do to the dragon here will essentially heal the Nexus King up by whatever health's left on the dragon. So you want to do as much damage as you can to the dragon at this point. So when you go into phase 3, he's as low as possible, because phase 3 is crazy. So this is where I don't have any heroic footage, but essentially what will happen is he's going to do Nexus Queen thing, where it's going to be 1 on the tank, and then it will be 3 on the other players. And so this is only 3 in total. It will be 4 on heroic. And essentially you move it out, and it's going to pull you like Nexus Queen did, okay? This will act as your tank swap in this phase, because you get a debuff called Star Shattered, and basically you'll take 100% from it the next time that happens, and then you'll see you get these sort of patterns of circles come in. On normal, that I've got the footage for here, they don't move, but on heroic, they're circulating around the room while doing this pattern, and there's 1 extra of them, and it's pretty crazy. So let's get into a raid plan to see what it looks like and how we should deal with that. Okay, so P3. Essentially what's going to happen is you're going to have the tank tanking the boss as normal, and then it's going to do its galactic strike, or whatever it's called. We could see it here. Yeah, galactic smash, okay? And then 5 other versions of the boss are going to spawn. What you want to do is spread these all around the room. So you'll have a circle underneath you, like a little cosmic sort of bluey circle under you. Everybody else in the raid is stood in here. And these 5 players, along with the tank, move out. You spread them evenly, exactly like Nexus Princess. Okay? They're then going to go off, and you're going to spawn a star at each one of these places. It's a bit like a Mario shell with spikes in it, like a blue shell, I guess. And yeah, so essentially what's going to happen is you're going to spawn a star at each place. Initially, it's just going to be a black hole, and it's going to pull you in the direction of the star. So if they're all evenly spaced, what's going to happen is it's just going to pull you in every direction. You're going to stay in the middle, and it'll be great. If you've got like 2 or 3 over here because people have not moved well, you're going to get pulled in this direction, right? So you really need to make sure that you have marks or something. You just spread them nice and easily, not a problem. And you get pulled in each and every direction. Absolutely fine. Okay. Then what's going to happen is each of these stars are going to start rotating around, okay, in a circle. And they're also going to spawn sort of a void zone around them that's going to grow and grow and grow. So you'll all be in here. Your main tank, because they took the ability from the boss, will have this star shattered debuff on them. That basically means that if they get Galactic Smash again, or the other ability, which we'll go through in a second, they're taking 100% increased damage. So as soon as the Galactic Smash goes off, the other tank taunts off, okay? But anyway, so all of these stars are rotating in a circle, and they're starting to spawn these circles around them. It gets a bit crazy, they get a bit bigger. Generally, pulse 1, pulse 2, depending on where you've dropped these stars, you're safe in the middle. And then when it gets to sort of the later pulses, you can see the middle becomes an issue. And then after this, they would get so big that the middle would be safe again. So I imagine what you'll be doing is you'll sort of be staying in the middle. Depending on how close you've dropped these, if you've dropped them here, then the middle won't be safe and you'll move out. But it'll probably go stay in middle, move out, find these gaps, move back in when they've gone beyond this stage, okay? And that's generally how you deal with that. So you drop them evenly, you just survive moving around these circles. You obviously tank swap in between, and then they stop. They'll get to a certain point and they just stop spawning these circles. What happens after that is you get this Star Shatter ability. So see if I can find it here. Yeah, Starkiller Swing is what it's called. So your tank, the other one now, because this tank has got the debuff, will get it on them, and then 2 more phantoms appear off the boss, and put it onto 2 players. What you want to do with these is you want to aim it at one of these rifts or stars. Again, they look like Mario blue shells. And hit it straight through them. And if you do that, they'll explode and do minimal damage to the raid. If you miss, they do damage to the raid anyway. So you really just want to pop the stars, basically. So you'll get 6 stars, you'll pop 3 stars. You can imagine after this rotation, you're going to have 9 stars up. And if you've missed a star, you're going to have more than 9 stars up. So it's really important that you destroy these 3, and that you also make sure that you nuke the dragon with everything you can, so the boss isn't high health. If the boss is high health going into this phase, it's going to be miserable, like really, really miserable. So yeah, just make sure that you are communicating with your raid well, and you're spreading out the stars, and you're destroying 3 stars every time. And the boss is on as low as it possibly can be going into this phase because you've nuked the dragon. If you need to use hero to nuke the dragon, then just do it. But you just do not want the boss to be high health going into this phase. And yeah, it's going to be a race against having enough space to deal with. There's also sort of an encroaching area denial coming in on this phase. That also, I think it starts from the outside and comes inwards, so it's just going to get harder and harder and harder as you go. So essentially, have the boss as low as you can and deal with these 2 mechanics, and it'll be a fun end. Yeah. Overall, this boss looks like it's going to be really, really, really fun. It looks like it's going to be probably one of the best bosses in the raid. It has a really nice balance on heroic, where you'll end up just phasing quickly and you won't have to hold DPS or anything like that, which is nice. And then when you first do it, it'll probably be really tight, or the phase 3 will be like half your raid will be dead because there's so much shit going on everywhere and all that kind of stuff. So it does look like a really, really fun boss. There's no point in doing a TLDR on this. It's a case of just learn it phase by phase, and figure out what's best for you in positioning. But honestly, there'll be a set way to do it, right? But yeah, there's a couple of little bits I didn't mention, like the banishment in P1. That's just extra damage to heal and all of that kind of stuff. So There'll be a couple of little bits you need to look out for, but generally it's just damage. The boss does pulsing damage the whole time as well, so just keep an eye out for that, and you should be good. As always, a big thank you to the guild and everyone that helps me, and yeah, I'll see you in the Mythic guides. Leave a like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. Bye bye.